of what truly matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Welcome back to Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. I'm Leslie.
And I'm Randy.
Today, we're going to continue our conversation on how to create a healthy culture in our family. This is part of our series around emotional intelligence in the family. And we're going to be talking about a tool we call the OOOH NO today. You're really going to, I think you're really going to enjoy this one, because this tool helps us get unstuck and out of resentment in our families.
Yeah, this is something we encounter a lot in working with families, is this phrase, I'm just stuck, right? The relationship is stuck. The conversation is stuck. The problem, this issue that we're having is we're just stuck. We don't know what to do, how to move forward. Can't get, and almost always in there is this communication of, I'm hurt, I'm offended. And it's the resentment that just has me stuck. And because until we address this and deal with this, I don't really want to move on, or I'm not able to move on. And so we want to talk today about a self-destructive program. It's a way of thinking that happens really fast. Almost everybody has great experience in this, and it just happens. In fact, let me just ask you, if you were thinking, feeling, and behaving in a way that was self-destructive, I mean, it's destroying you, and you don't know that you're doing that, wouldn't you want to know so that you could stop destroying yourself? I mean, seems like a pretty easy answer to that question. But the truth is, a lot of people don't realize that they're in this program. We call it the OOOH NO program, because it's OOOH. It's 3 O's. It's an acronym, right? And it stands for, number one, offended. Have you ever been offended? Of course, right? And having a negative emotional response to something you think was said or done to you, something you disagree. I mean, we are living in a time in our culture, in the United States anyway, where it is offense culture. Everybody's offended. And they have a right to be offended, and that makes them a victim. And so then they have a whole platform because they're offended, and they cash in on the offense. And again, I'm not dismissing the fact that people may be offended, but this offended culture, which leads to a cancel culture, because that's one of the ways to deal with it. If I'm offended, one thing I can do is just cut off a wall, cut off communication, just,
So it's destroying our culture, but this really, we say this all the time, guys, but culture is downstream from family. And we have the culture we have outside of our families because of the people that have come out of, wait for it, families. And this program that happens automatically is so self-destructive. It's the primary reason people get divorces, why the wars get started, and
lawsuits happen.
Yeah, and it's but what we're going to talk about today is how it happens. There's a cycle in a program that we get into, and it happens automatically because again, remember that 95% of our thinking is, in our subconscious, down in our heart, and it's automatically, we automatically get into this program.
So, and if we're in this program, what we have in the home, in the marriage, in the family is conflict.
Yeah.
If you have constant conflict or regular if you have there's things that are nuclear, we don't go over there and talk about those things. Those things we can't talk about because there's so much weight, so much conflict around those that the only solution we have right now is avoidance. We're going to avoid those. But really, we don't avoid. Instead of addressing it and getting unstuck, avoidance leads to being stuck. And then time doesn't heal all wounds. In fact, it grows. Time magnifies the wound. And so those things, that's why somebody, quote, explodes. When they've suppressed and avoided for so long, they can't take it anymore, and their tolerations are done. No, you've never been there, but like, blah, this can't happen anymore. So we're going to not only explain the program so you can recognize it, but we're going to give you some remedies so that you can get out of this. Because again, we're creating a healthy culture in the family so that the kingdom of God can come there, and we can demonstrate it to one another, and we can, train his character qualities, his nature into our generations in a way that they can train it to their generations. And so for that to happen, we have to have a healthy culture.
Right. And I want to say this again, too. This isn't just for those families out there that are in the throes of raising children. This tool applies for grown children as well. If your kids are already out of the house, or if it's just between you and your spouse, this works in wherever you are in your family journey. Yeah. So don't tune out just thinking this is for the kids.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, husbands and wives and in-laws and coworkers. It happens all over. So here's the program. First starts with an offense, right? A negative emotional response to something you think was said or done. It doesn't actually have to have happened, but if you think it has happened, if you think somebody has gossiped about you, somebody has falsely accused you, if somebody has made an agreement with you and they've broken it, maybe they actually have, or maybe you just think they have, and you have this dump, this emotion dump, adrenaline dump, whatever, of and then underneath that, right? And the natural response, and that does happen, Leslie's going to give you an example here in a minute so we can process it. But when that happens, if we don't stop it right there, automatically, even instantaneously, we can go into the next after offense is
opposition.
Opposition, thank you. Yeah. So I get offended and then I get into opposition, and it's that opposition that makes me stuck. Opposition is another word for resentment. Yeah. And so I am so upset with it that I will, and this is a definition, put up a wall or cut off communication. So I'll avoid them, right? Instead of going home and giving the kiss on the cheek and how you doing, I just walk straight to the man cave. Or, instead of, hey, honey, can we have some time together tonight? It's like not in your life, the avoidance and the putting up a wall, and we're not talking about it. That's a clue that you're in this program. If you still don't remedy that, you go into the third phase, which is onslaught. And that is making an attempt to get even. It's the tit for tat. Well, you did this, so I'm doing that. And you're both hurting each other, whoever that is. Well, you did that, so I'm going to do this. Well, if you wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't. If you'd stop that, then I'd stop. And it's
round
crazy.
And round and round the crazy train we go.
And so this program, if it isn't stopped, and there is a way to stop it.
Yeah.
But if it isn't stopped, it will destroy relationships. It will fill your family culture with conflict. And it will fill your family culture with, I'm just going to go to my corner, be quiet, try to be nice, not get into, and just get through here. And that is not the way of a healthy family culture. So to kind of bring this home, give us an example. So,
well, again, we're talking about, this could be an actual offense or just a perceived offense. But let's say that husband and wife, they've been talking about some home improvement stuff, and the husband, makes an agreement. Yeah, I'm gonna get the yard cleaned up this weekend,
and it's a mess.
Yeah. And so the weekend comes and goes, and the yard work didn't get done, and it's like, okay. But the wife's offended. She may not be blow up ready yet, because maybe 3 or 4 weekends in a row haven't gone by, but she's offended in that moment because an agreement was broken. And so she cuts off communication. She goes right into that opposition. And I read a definition of opposition the other day. I thought it was really good. It was talking about heavenly bodies and their relationship to each other, and the 180 degrees is described as opposition. I just thought it was interesting that they were described as heavenly bodies because, we're heavenly bodies, aren't we?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's that separation, like I'm not going to talk to you. I'm disconnected from you right now. I am mad. I'm offended. You didn't follow through on what you said you were going to do. And this just happens in a millisecond. We're not even aware that this is what's going on. And then she goes into this onslaught where it's like, I'm going to get even. Like, next time he wants me to pick up his dry cleaning, forget about it. I mean, and this happens all the time. And
it does.
And we may be consciously aware that we're doing it, or it might just be this unconscious thinking that's going on in our heart. And we're the wife in this particular instance is the one that's getting all churned up. Right. And there's separation. And now I'm going to get even. I'm going to do something that really bothers him. Maybe it's not a chore, maybe it is the tit for tat, but maybe it's something a little more passive aggressive, like
I'm going to schedule a visit with their in-laws during the football game of your favorite team. We'll just see how you like that.
Never happen.
So, and this is important. As soon as there's the revenge, the scheduling of that, meeting over the football, then now the husband is now
he's offended
in this program. And he's like, oh yeah, you're going to do that to me? Well, I'm going to do that. And it is childish, it's immature, and it happens all the time.
All the time. And
the cost for that is the cost of intimacy, the cost of oneness, and the cost of a healthy culture in the home. And I'll tell you this, you're in this if you're avoiding somebody. Yeah. Watch it. If you're not taking their emails, not taking their calls,
not making eye contact,
you're avoiding, you're in this program if you're gathering evidence. In fact, like in your example, so the wife is like, well, how many other times has he promised me? I can count this one and that one and that one. Promised me to do that, didn't do it. Promised me to do that. I just feel so overlooked, disregarded.
We get into a place that once that offense hits and we slip into that opposition too, there's a lot of assigning of motive and assuming he doesn't care about me. Like,
there's a whole story.
Yeah.
Many.
So he's selfish, or we go into judgment.
And maybe that's true. And there's a way to handle that in a healthy way by engaging in healthy
conversation.
But maybe it's not. Maybe there truly is something else going on. There was a reason why, but we didn't know. And we really don't know what's going on in the heart of another person. We judge a tree by its fruit. We can tell over time by how somebody shows up, but we need to be very careful with how much we assume and ascribe ill motive to somebody else.
That's a real red light for all of us when you notice you're starting to assign motive and make assumptions and you're real hot about it.
Yeah.
There's your timeout.
Yeah. In a moment here, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the remedies. In other words, what do we do? Because if you're paying attention, you're going to notice you're in this with maybe it's not your spouse, maybe it's one of your kids.
Yeah.
Maybe it's between your children, kids or adult kids. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's a church. But in relationships, this program is going to pop up. And we want to give you the tools for how to handle this. And I just say that these tools are all in our book, our workbook, and in the e-course that we call it the digital bundle. And it's everything you have around really getting the most out of these tools. So we'll be back in a minute. Introducing the Family Digital Bundle, a powerful collection designed to transform your family's journey towards healing, growth, and thriving.
At the heart of this bundle is the best-selling book and workbook, The Family Legacy, Shaping Culture from the Inside Out, written by Dr. Randall Bixby.
With insightful wisdom and practical advice, these resources offer a roadmap for building a strong family legacy that shapes the culture of generations to come.
But that's not all. Our Family Digital Bundle includes an e-course, over 9 hours of how-to videos, equipping you with practical tools and expert guidance to help your family.
Imagine your family, a place where love, growth, and connection come together. Isn't it time to build a better family? If not now, when?
Invest in your family. Order the Family Digital Bundle today by clicking the link below or visit our website, thefamilyreformationproject.com. Welcome back, guys.
Yeah, so before we went to break there, we talked about the remedies. So here they are in the workbook. We suggest in the book that there are at least 3 categories, if you will, of how to get out of this cycle. If you're stuck, if you've got conflict all the time, if you're avoiding each other or avoiding topics, if there are things that, just another check mark of something that's really wrong again, and you're keeping track,
gathering evidence,
then take action in these ways. Number 1, engage in open, honest, responsible communication. Open, honest, responsible communication. We're going to talk about what that is.
Well, this is where what we've talked about before, your empathetic listening and giving and receiving feedback. Speaking
the truth in love. But specifically, coming from this place, right? How you do that is to be open. So don't assume. A lot of times when we're stuck, it's because we have already determined that the verdict is in. The judgment is rendered. You doing this because blank. You don't like me. You don't respect me. You don't, right? And that's why it hurts my feelings. And I've decided that's what it is. Well, the truth is we don't know that. And so entering this remedy, we want to be open to the fact I might have been wrong. I might have been clueless. I may have been offensive, and that maybe I wasn't. For you to be open, or the other person to be open, that maybe I wasn't rude, or maybe I wasn't offensive, or maybe there wasn't a motive to do something wrong. To be open and to explore. This is how you know you're open. You're curious. Again, we're back to curiosity. Yeah. I'm curious what was going on in your heart or your thinking around this. Yeah. I'm curious why you didn't get the yard clean. You said you would, and it's from a neutral place, factual, not opinion.
Yeah, not from judgment. That's not open, honest, responsible communication.
I'm curious the thinking you made a commitment and didn't do it. And then you go into that conversation, but it's safe. Nobody's going to pay a price. And this is where it can be a challenge to get into this place where you're willing to have resolution here.
Right. And remember to be clean in your own heart, right? Yes. So and this can lead to more and more conversation, which is brilliant and beautiful. And this is what a healthy environment looks like in a home, especially between a husband and a wife. There could have been a really valid reason why that yard work didn't get done in that instance. Well, it could have been, I totally forgot. I promised to take, our son to blah, blah, blah. And I just ran out of time.
Yeah, could be.
It could be. And it could be something, maybe it's the 3 weekends in a row where it's not been done. And so you approach that from a place of curiosity. Honey, I've noticed, you made this commitment. You promised me you were going to do this. And this is now 3 weekends in a row where you haven't gotten to it. And I'm just curious what your thinking is.
So good. And that's the honest part, right? Open, honest. You just say what is. What's the fact? Not the opinion. The fact. Hey, here's what happened. And there's facts and there's stories. We've talked about this, or will, in our program here. There's things that happen, and then there's the meaning or the story that we put on those things. And they're separate until we pick a story, and then they're one. The problem with that is there's a lot of stories for every fact. I mean, just look at our country. Same economy, same leadership in charge of the government, a lot of things are the same. Very different stories about what that's like to live in. And so we all create our own story based on what we think at our own heart.
Yeah. And I want to say a little bit more on this because I want to connect these dots for you guys. In this case where it was the 3rd weekend in a row, if the wife in that situation had just lost her mind, blew up, cut off, was in this cycle, they never really get to the real problem. Because maybe it has been 3 weekends in a row where there's been competing commitments. And in a safe, open environment where you're curious, that's where that's going to be discovered. Gosh, you know what? We're doing too much. I've got too much stuff to do. And then that opens it up into a place of, okay, what are the priorities in our life? And maybe there needs to be some reorganization so that things move more smoothly moving forward. But without that open, honest, responsible, safe communication, the real problem never gets solved.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, maybe that, I spent that first weekend working to make some extra money because we talked about making the extra money. And that second weekend, that's when Junior had that big blow up with his friend. I spent 3 hours talking with him through that. It hurt him so bad. And so there's just the exploration of being open and honest. Here's responsible. This is important. Responsible communication is when each person takes personal responsibility. So you don't use language like, well, you did this and you did that, and you said this and you made me feel this. Those are all off limits in responsible communication.
Yeah.
Responsible communication is me communicating from, well, I noticed this. I saw this happen. I felt this way when that happened. I chose to think about this, this way. And I chose to, in the whole story. So I chose to retaliate and I chose to do right. I am owning my part 100% without being accusatory or coming at somebody so that they're now defensive, right? And vice versa. The other person is, okay, well, I feel this way and I had this and I did that. Responsible. So open, honest, responsible communication. And it's to this end, to find agreement, to get back into agreement. The reason why so much conflict happens is because we get out of agreement.
Yep. How can two walk together if they don't agree?
That's what it says in the book of Amos, and it's a rhetorical question. They can't. In that place where they don't agree, they can't. And so how do we get back into agreement where our yes is yes, our no is no, we understand each other and so forth? That's one remedy. And you can actually do that at the very beginning when you first have that negative emotional hit and avoid some of the deeper problems. And that's when it's important to cultivate. But you may be a long way from there now. So the second remedy, talk about what the second remedy is.
Yeah, giving a gift. Huh.
Yeah, so this is an odd one, perhaps. Like, what do you mean give a gift? I don't want flowers if you screwed up because, I want you to go live in the doghouse. Well, okay, that's not really what we're talking about with a gift. In giving a gift the way we're talking about it,
you're thinking about the other person.
Yes.
It's not to get out of the doghouse, right? Mm-hmm. When you give a gift, it puts you in this softer place where you're thinking about what is something that my spouse, what's really important to them? What is something that it's about them, and it puts ourselves, if we're the ones that are in this automatic destructive cycle of seeing them in a different light.
Yeah, they're human. They have needs. They're not all bad. They actually have some good, and they actually really care about some things. And so if I put myself in their shoes, what is it that's meaningful to them that they like, that would say to them this? And not only that, not what's about them, but it costs you something.
Yeah.
It's you're taking time and energy and money to really think about it. I learned a lot about gift giving from my wife, Leslie. She is a great gift giver. She comes up with some of the best because she takes time. She thinks about that person and what's really valuable to them and what would really bless them and touch them. And then she goes and gets a gift. And that's what we're talking about here, because when you give it works on your heart. When they receive it, it works on their heart. Yeah. Because generosity and giving is what gets us unstuck and says, okay, I'm going to tear the wall down. I'm going to reestablish communication. It's safe now. They care enough about me to do something that really touched my heart. It was special. And so, okay. And really, this is what God did with Jesus.
Yeah, he gave us the ultimate gift, right? And remember, this is to bring restoration, right? Something's happened and there's been offense, and it's in God's design. He made a way for us to get back into right relationship. And to your point, gosh, he gave us Jesus.
Yeah.
The ultimate gift, paid the price for all of the punishment that we deserved. And it was to restore, it was to bring restoration to the rift that happened in the garden, if you want to know the truth, right? When Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden, they got separated from God. They no longer had that intimacy with God. And then we know the whole story of the Old Testament and all the things that people had to do to try to get back in the right relationship, and the tabernacle.
There was a wall. There was
a separation,
separation.
Right? Only the priests, the super holy people, could go into the Holy of Holies and interact with God. So Jesus, by giving that gift, he brought restoration. Mm-hmm. The veil was torn in the temple, and now we all get to enjoy direct personal relationship with our Creator. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's give a gift, because the purpose of it is to bring restoration back to design, back to oneness.
Yeah. And ultimately, a part of that giving of a gift in another level of the remedy is to forgive.
Yeah.
Right. To give somebody something, especially when they may not deserve it. To be gracious, right? To be merciful and to forgive, to let it go. And that, I don't just mean like, okay, let's brush it over here under the carpet and let's it's over there, but we're not going to talk about it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about letting it go, letting go of your demand for an expectation for them to do something and make it right. Okay, I'll forgive you until next weekend, and we'll see if you get that lawn clean, because if you do, then we're good. And if you don't, then we're right back where we started. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about letting it go.
For real.
For real. And I just believe that, in fact, I'm going to just take a moment and just pray a quick prayer.
Okay.
And you can add to it if you want to as well, because I know there are people listening and you are in this program and it's destroying you. And it's destroying the ones you love. Mm-hmm. And they're in it with you, likely. So both parties are being destroyed. And if this has happened in your home, your family culture is not in a place where it's safe and loving and trusting and fun, where you can really demonstrate the character and nature of God to your kids and teach it and instill in them for their generations. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. And so we just want to pray. And of course, we'll encourage you to go down below and click the links and get these tools, get the digital bundle, whatever, get these resources and put them into practice. They work. We've got some testimonies of some of our families that we're working with coming up here in the near future. And it's important that, they work. And, but I'm just going to pray. So Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus, we just pray, Leslie and I today, we agree in prayer that you are all about healing and restoring the brokenness in our families. And Lord, where families feel stuck, like, I don't know where to go. It's just staying the same. It's the same problem over and over. And there's communication that's broken down, and there's walls that are going up in between husbands and wives and parents and children and their siblings. Lord, would you come into every family that's hearing this right now? By your Spirit, would you come and bring healing, bring restoration, bring, Lord, these tools and this choice of how to be loving and be trusting, and to move away from these patterns, these programs like the OOOH NO, where it is just going to continue to bring problem after problem. Lord, would you come in and remove that from these families and bring love. Help them to hear each other, to be able to talk about anything in a safe way, to be able to resolve conflict that is still sitting there. And Lord, to be able to move past it into real intimacy. God, we just ask you these things in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
Amen.
I just want to remind everybody too that we know somebody who has all the answers that we need. So if you're in this place of being stuck, ask the one who knows everything. And that starts with forgiveness. You can't receive something when you're closed off. And so I want to encourage you, if you've not just gone to the Lord in a while, go to the Lord with whatever the it is, and go open-handed with, I don't feel like forgiving, but I'm choosing to forgive. And I'm asking the one who knows everything to give me the next. Maybe it is, investing in your family and starting to engage with these tools or reaching out to a family coach. But there is a way, and God's way is always the best way.
Amen.
And he has the strategy to bring your family into a place of wholeness and restoration. So
Amen.
we just bless you.
Yeah. And we remind you that whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3, wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end.